While Bubblegum Crisis was a huge success, both in Japan and here, that didn't mean that the studios that created Bubblegum Crisis were in the best situation. Over the course of its production between 1987 and 1991, the joint owners of Bubblegum Crisis, Artmic and Yomex, begun infighting as to who exactly owned what. Because of the growing acrimony between them, Crisis's run was ended prematurely, ending at 8 episodes instead of its planned 13. Interestingly enough, during said acrimony, a spin-off OVA was created and released in Japan in 1990, dubbed AD Police Files. Files was planned and written as a prequel of sorts, dealing with the trials and cases of AD Police Officer Leon McNichol. This guy. I call it a prequel of sorts because it has nothing to do with any one of the Nightsabers. In fact, outside of Leon's presence in the setting, there's little that the two series share, both in terms of character and tone. And even then, it could be argued that AD Police Files isn't really about Leon at all. Again, like Crisis, AD Police Files' run was ended prematurely, though we still don't know how many episodes were supposedly planned. But unlike Bubblegum Crisis, that might have been for the best. Before we get too far into this, I want to make it clear that Bubblegum Chronicles was always meant to be a leveled look at the whole of Bubblegum Crisis, and that means having to dig out the guts of the lesser entries in the series. Needless to say, doing so doesn't paint the property in the most flattering light, but I feel it's absolutely necessary. In fact, it's because of AD Police Files' existence that I felt compelled to embark on the Bubblegum Chronicles project in the first place. Looking at only the best or most fondly remembered entries in any meta-series, let alone Bubblegum Crisis, would reveal part and parcel of the entire scope of it, and not the entirety. Ignoring the ink blots on an otherwise beautiful tapestry doesn't stop them from existing. But to steer this back to today's topic, and to say nothing of its decidedly darker plots, AD Police Files is what happens when you feel that Bubblegum Crisis should be even more like Blade Runner. You know, without all those fun characters or thrilling action scenes to get in the way. Even though AD Police Files would eventually spawn another television series, To Protect and Serve, and another OVA, Parasite Dolls, both of which we'll cover in due time, I still consider AD Police Files to be the lowest point in the entire meta-series. Let's see why. I'll give Police Files one thing: it establishes its mood and tone right out of the gate, just like Bubblegum Crisis did. But while Crisis did this by having a montage of 80s rock and roll and exploding robots, this is how Police Files does it.
My, you're shaking. You think you can shoot me like that? You, of the regular police, think you can stop me? I kill men who can't satisfy me.
Well, that's different. So yeah, Police Files is kind of insane when you compare it to Crisis. I mean, Crisis wasn't bloodless by any means, but Files might as well be dead alive when set next to Crisis. Not only has the crimson been amplified to near Great Muta levels, but so has the overt sexualization. In this shot, they even combined the two by having a close-up of the boomer's heaving, perforated, barely covered breasts. The opening is a visual kick to the teeth, and if you want off this ride, I don't blame you, because that was just an appetizer. We begin our story proper with another boomer attack, this one looking not at all like Priscilla Stratton. Wait a minute. Priscilla... God damn it! No matter how many meat shields they manage to throw at her, the police are just over their heads with this one. But luckily, the AD police are here to neutralize the threat, and make even more 80s references. Hey there, Private Vasquez! Gina? By the way, the actress who played Private Vasquez, as well as John Connor's foster mom, is an actress by the name of Jeanette Goldstein. Gina? Jeanette? Get it?
You're the owner of that boomer, right?
But what's this?
Destruction approval form. Now sign it.
But why?
It's just for our new boomer recycling ordinance. She just murdered a dozen people, shithead! But even the AD police have a tough time putting her down, and one of them gets blown apart. But Das Obervalkyrie bitch goes absolutely berserk and rips the boomer's goddamn tits off.
Alice! Bitch, you killed Alice!
Well, at least you could say that the act is fairly symbolic. I mean, setting aside an atypically masculine woman ripping the universal phenotype denoting femininity off the boomer, notice that she uses her synthetic hand to do it. A simulation of a hand ripping the simulation of a woman's body from the frame of a simulation of a human. Alright, I might be pissing in the wind, but at least it's not there. Which is way more than I can say for about 95% of the ultra-violent shit I've reviewed before. The real hell of it is that Uber doesn't even take out the boomer. A group of armor-clad soldiers do it. So the whole tit rip thing? A completely pointless gesture of anger. At least let Uber have the solo XPs, guys. So naturally, after seeing one of her comrades get violently killed and then ripping the nips off a gynoid in revenge, Uber needs to fuck.
I think you should know. It's a little quirk of mine. This always happens whenever I see blood. I get an unbearable craving. Craving for a man.
She got a fever. And the only prescription is many, many years of psychological therapy. Jesus fuck, this character takes my notion of the Valkyrie bitch and just sends it careening off a cliff in a flaming oil drum. Not even Conan the goddamn Barbarian was this violently macho. To sum up, we have Anime Vasquez, who uses her cybernetic arm to rip her enemies into shreds, and would spare the time to shed a tear for her fallen comrades if she weren't busy getting her sniz pounded like it owed the guy's dick money. I think I'm in love. Anywhoozits, the death of the nameless comrade has stirred up some interesting tidbits about the man. Namely that he was skull-fucking insane.
Fact is that Officer Alice had, in addition to his line of duty insurance, approximately $700 million worth of life insurance.
Are you implying Alice made the boomer go berserk? Got himself killed just for the insurance policy?
Who in the wide, wide world of sports insures a police officer for $700 million? Fucking RoboCop could've get that deal. And more importantly, if he was insured for that ungodly amount of money, how in the world is he affording his fucking premiums? And who the hell collects on the policy? Our answers come never, as this is just a flimsy plotline to get Uber and Leon on the hunt for more malfunctioning boomers, because somehow that will prove that the guy didn't intentionally kill himself in the line of duty, so long as they do it in 6 hours. 6 hours? Really? Now an insurance company wants to expedite something? So our fart of a plot has Uber and Leon just driving aimlessly, checking in on randos about leads on illegally recycled boomers that led to them going insane and killing people, all the while being followed by a resuscitated boomer from the top of the episode. Yeah, the police picked up her remains and they were recycled into a new boomer body. For reasons.
I want to see your data on recycled B-class boomers.
B-class? What are you talking about? We're only permitted a D-class license.
Only D-class. And yet maintaining a facility of this size requires a lot of money, doesn't it?
Nah, you can save yourself a lot of money just by stealing your set design for Blade Runner. Yup, they just wholesale lifted the iLab set and character from Ridley Scott. Look, Crysis was heavy on lifting from outside sources too, but at least it handled them with some grace and subtlety. This is just fucking blatant. And speaking of fucking blatant... the Mad Max themes in fucking Fist of the North Star were more understated than this. Granted, this was not exclusive to the Bubblegum Crisis miniseries, as it could be said that Blade Runner was nothing short of a cultural phenomenon in Japan, extending as far as the late 90s. Not only were video games taking their cues from the film, but several commercials used iconic scenes in the film to hawk everything from contact lenses to cell phones to Hondas. What does that even have? Never mind. Look, the point is that while this is not unique to fucking AD Police Files, it's still goddamn distracting, okay? So, you think that this boomer is tailing Leon for revenge for killing her, right? Right?
Try to remember. Trash my body like you did before. I beg you. Hurry. Shoot those bullets into my breast.
You wanna take this one, guy?
She scares me!
Rip my skin apart. Tear away my flesh. And splatter my blood.
So after literally stripping naked and begging to be killed, she finally has her wish granted and Uber blasts her right in the 10 spot. And we end our episode on yet another lifted shot from Blade Runner. And that was episode 1 of 3. Anyone else need a break? We begin our second episode with a teenage hooker being chased by a psychopathic woman through some subway cars. Well, that didn't take long, did it?
What do you want?
How much?
It varies from day to day. It depends on what you like.
How old?
14! So what?
Remember when Bubblegum Crisis was about 4 women kicking robot butt and saving the goddamn day? I missed that. So the poor girl has her entire midsection carved out like a Boston market turkey as we meet 2 new characters who are sent to investigate her murder on a dilapidated but still running subway line, filled with druggies and hookers.
Excuse me, guys? What is this mess? Is this the work of Boomies?
Yes! Her death must have been caused by those crazed robots known as Boomies. Was a retake that hard, guys? Seems that a number of prostitutes have been gutted on the line recently, and some evidence have come to light that the culprit might indeed be a Boomie. What kind of evidence do they have?
According to the identification specialist, the cause may be a malfunctioning imprinted AI. In other words, the probability is extremely high that this is the work of a boomer.
A boomer killing prostitutes?
Well, that's what it looks like.
Well, if you ask me, what it looks like is that your identification specialist pulled that out of his ass.
Perhaps a boomer that's been mistreated by women.
Is the anime trying to imply that these 2 women are somehow responsible for a boomer going insane and killing all these hookers? Or does the anime think that the audience forgot what women look like? But the 2 managed to finagle a deal with their boss into a cooperative investigation with the AD police. So you think that's when Leon and Uber show up in the plot, right? Well, they do, but get this. They find a random boomer who's gone off his rocker, and Leon finds his ID card for an organ bank, and while there, he finds one of the girls checking in to get her eye replaced with a cybernetic one. That's it! You can literally see the plot coming apart at the seams, as so many conveniences converge in one space at one time. And they're not done! During her checkup, Iris, yes, the woman who wants her eye replaced really is named Iris, overhears another woman yelling at her doctor because she wants her old real organs back. And this somehow kicks up Iris' suspicion, and she has Leon and Uber tail her out of the building and right to a sewer grate that's just over the drug subway line.
She seems like nothing so much as the perfect executive.
I don't really understand why, but I can't get her out of my mind.
Hey, Iris. Are you a lesbian?
Bitch, you should be asking her if she's psychic. Fucking Lieutenant Columbo couldn't have made further leaps in logic. And still come out right! So, who is this woman that Iris has zeroed in on? Apparently a powerful CEO of a food brand that had her uterus and ovaries taken and replaced with cybernetic organs. For reasons. What's the point of replacing her lady bits with cybernetic implants? Especially if they do this.
Oh, no. I can't. No.
Huh. What a disturbing, horrific, haunting scene. That I'm gonna ruin right now! But yeah, as I said, Iris is right on the money, and tails her into the sewers again, where the little dummy is ambushed. And since there's only 4 minutes left of the episode, might as well get her villain motivation out and done with.
Some years ago, I was competing with a certain man for a promotion. I was obviously more qualified, but he got it. He made a chart of my menstrual cycle versus my productivity and told the president that my productivity faltered during my menstrual period. A pure fabrication. But everyone believed it. So I completely rid myself of all womanly functions.
So, because of one lying asshole who was surrounded by a bunch of blithering idiots, you now murder prostitutes by carving out their uteri. You didn't need to replace your lady bits, that's all I'm trying to say. But the real corker of this whole ending is when Jill just casually drops the fact that her cybernetic period cramps is what's causing her to turn into Miss Hyde and murder all those girls. Why hasn't Troma Entertainment made this movie yet? But they ruin everything by trying to tie this whole ridiculous plot back to transhumanism. Iris tries to call the AD police down because she's still human, but they insist because she's technically a boomeroid. Ugh.
She's already a boomeroid, a boomer exceedingly close to human. An order to terminate her was handed down to AD police.
But
if over 70% of the body has been made cybernetic, then the individual is treated as a boomeroid. That's just the way it is.
So now they're trying to ask, when does a human stop being a human? Now they ask. After like 2 episodes with the only question asked being, bitches be cray-cray, am I right?
The investigation report stated that there was program destruction due to emotional disorders manifested during sex. But I just don't buy it.
She might have been a boomer, but she was still a woman. Emotions run high in a woman when she's in the heat of passion.
Look, all I'm trying to say is, police files? I might take what you have to say about the nature of humanity and the lines between what is human and not human seriously, if you didn't have Jill here run into a subway car full of junkies and offer herself to them. Kind of undercuts what you're trying to do, know what I mean? But Jill's finally dropped, and we end on Iris getting her eye replaced with another lifted shot from Blade Runner. Honestly, are they trying to fill out some kind of punch card? Third and final episode, folks. We're already chest deep in the sewage. Might as well plug up our nose and dive down. In a truly baffling montage, we see what looks like an AD policeman just live his life in these stylized and cost-prohibitive etchings. Thing is, it segues into his bloody, gasping death, while still using that same chintzy music. Why would you do that? That's like if you took the Shinro opening and backed it with the Cheers theme.
Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
So, who's this rando? Well, his name is Billy, and now that his shit was officially ruined, he's got himself a brand new robot body.
My body cannot feel pain, or anything else either. Everything gets input directly into my brain as simple information. When I start feeling lightheaded, I bite my tongue, my one and only piece of flesh. That pain is the only thing I have that reminds me I am still human.
Just steal from RoboCop, okay? Don't try to add your dumb shit on top of it and ruin it, because, Lord help me, they don't need the help. So little Billy here has been turned into the numero uno boomer buster, and when he's not cleaning the mean streets of Tokyo or making nightmare faces that'll haunt your dreams, he's the boy toy of one of his scientists.
This fine body that I designed is all mine, Billy.
I give up. I just give up. I'd tell this anime to go fuck itself, but I think I'd enjoy it. What are you even grinding on, woman? Is this just like your thing or something? You get off on rubbing up against cold metallic objects? Just fill up your tumble dryer, hit spin cycle, enjoy the ride, and save yourself a shred of self-respect. And that is pretty much the entire episode when you get right down to it. The plots of these stories have always been fairly weak, and the third one especially. Billy loses his mind since he can't really feel anything and has been compensating for this by secretly taking drugs. He finally snaps and kills the lady scientist who was just using him to garner investments, and then goes on a fatal rampage. So it's up to Uber, who apparently was Billy's lover for a time, to put old Yeller down.
Let me feel the pain. I can't feel anything. My brain is just floating in space. Give me pain. I'm human. Shoot my tongue.
Oh god, there's just no dignity left to this, is there? I've heard less cringy line reads than fucking hentai.
You've got rice on your face.
Fuck you, I'm standing by it. The deed is done, and all that's left to do is for Uber to quietly wonder if her own cybernetic arm is going to take over her body like Billy's. Yeah, I don't think so, Uber. Needless to say, but if I wanted a sci-fi story about a guy who has his brain inside a weaponized mech, I'll just watch the second episode of Standalone Complex, thank you very much. The last episode of AD Police Files really encapsulates the entire series, with every single glaring flaw it comes with. Sure, every once in a while, the series attempts to inject some thought into its themes of transhumanism, but those instances are few and far in between some of the dumbest, most poorly plotted yarns I've ever covered. You could write the entire plot of an episode of AD Police Files on a post-it note, and have enough room for a grocery list. Because of that, stories are told erratically, with character moments coming out of nowhere, and left dangling just as fast as they came up. Again, it's not like Bubblegum Crisis was flawless or anything, but at least it had the ability to compensate with fun characters and cheesy charm. AD Police Files, on the other hand, is just a droning, stupidly written anime that tries to cover it all up with sexualized violence and clueless diversions about the human condition. Thus closes probably the darkest chapter in Bubblegum Chronicles. But sadly, that's not the only dark chapter. But that will have to wait for another time, because next on the docket is something decidedly way simpler to cover. Till next time.
Long live your Lord High Regent Sage! Long live Benetopia!